Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've seen a lot of comments on my YouTube and TikTok asking about my custom makeup faces and how I do them, so I thought I would just make a video about it and sort of explain my thought process when I'm making them. I hope that it can somewhat be helpful. Before we get started, I would love for you to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos, and also giving it a like as it helps me out a lot. So in today's tutorial, I'm gonna walk you guys through this face, which not only works with ethereal but also other non-human themes such as like alien or elves. I've already posted like an exact tutorial with all the hex codes and things for this one, and it's sort of been reposted a lot and stolen on Pinterest, so I think a lot of you guys might recognize this face. So I'm just gonna walk through sort of how I ended up making this. And the second face I'm gonna do is this one. I think this one would fit well with themes such as like galactic glam. It gives a very galaxy vibe. I think Zor will like it a lot. And this is the third face that I will be going over. So if we start off with the base skin tone, for this one I used a black skin. I think it looks really cool with the heart add-on. This one, I found that because it's pink, it's kind of hard to work with sometimes, but you just have to kind of fight with the pink and you can kind of work around it. I did find if you do a little bit of these brighter tones, it's easier to work with it. For this face, I did this sort of color and you kind of just darken it a little bit. For my ethereal faces, I feel like I like using a lot of these eyeshadows from the Valentine's Day pack. These work really well. They add a cool detail onto the face. Something like that works as well. For the original face, I did use this tropical summer dull code, but I know that some people don't have it yet. So I will try to make the faces today with no dull codes. But yeah, so for this one, I would use this, maybe put it at like a color around there. I like to usually layer around 2 or 3 different eyeshadows. This is a really nice one to use as well. This is also a good one to use for ethereal faces. And then let me just add a nose real quick. This one's my favorite one. It's from the Y2K Popstar doll code. And then a lot of people don't know about this. If you go into the mask section, they have this one, and this one's a really good one to use. Maybe like a little green. I think I used a green for this face, like that. And I guess you can kind of use any lips. I like for my ethereal, I do use these 2 lips a lot. They are both doll codes. This one's also a really pretty lip. This one too, I do like. To be fair, I feel like with the lips, we've got a lot of good ones that you can use. But yeah, let me just use this for this tutorial. These are my favorite eyebrows at the moment. I'd like to use this, or these ones work really well. These ones too. But for this face, I'm going to use this one. I think with ethereal, you can either go 2 ways. It's just doing no eyes, or since we've gotten a lot of new, I guess, eyes that really work well. Some of the ones that I would use are this one, this, and this one. This one is like one of my favorite eyes. Do it like that. So this is how I sort of made this face and how I used the heart, because that is one of the features that I do like to use a lot for my ethereal faces. Now I'm gonna do a face from scratch. So I first would decide on the colors that I want to use for the face. For this one, I kind of want to go for like a purple and a pink. Sometimes I use the preset colors, but usually what I do is if I do end up using it, what I'll do is I'll pick the color and then I'll kind of adjust it inside the color wheel. For a lot of my colors that I use, I like to use muted colors just because I think it looks a little bit better. Somewhere around here. Usually start off with a face contour. The one that I like using for ethereal faces is this one with just the white, and then you can just color match it. Or this one's really good to use for some faces. I think I want to use this one for today's. But yeah, I think the more that you use custom makeup, you can sort of understand how to use this color wheel. I think once you do, it will be a lot easier to make faces. But yeah, maybe I'll put it around a little bit here. Darken it a little bit. It depends on what type of face, because sometimes I do use the eyes that were mentioned before, or sometimes I don't. But I think for this one, I don't want to, just because for the first one, I already used eyes. I kind of just play around with the eyeshadows and stuff, play around with the colors and see what looks the best. But yeah, once again, I think this one's a really helpful one just because I think it adds a lot of detail and it doesn't make the face fall flat. This one's also a really good eyeshadow to use. It adds good dimension, so kind of would do it like this. And as you can see, because it's number 3, it kind of covers the 2 that we already did before. Make sure to keep that in mind as well. The vitiligo is also really good to use. It adds dimensions as well. I think that's the main thing about my face is that I want to make sure that there's enough contrast between the colors and the different slots that I use, especially because we only have 6 and I feel like you have to make sure that each one is important. Make sure to add a nose as well. So as I mentioned before, I do the contours first and then I go into the add-ons, and then I usually just go straight to brows. Just the ones that I mentioned before. These are just the ones that I kind of use. I think the brows, if you just go through all of them and find a couple that you like, you can just use them. I think it also helps with kind of creating your own style, because I've also gotten some questions about how to find your style. And then sometimes I just don't do lips as well, because I think especially with item adjustment, I like to cover this part. I can also do another video on item adjustment if you guys were interested, so comment down below if you would want to see that. If I were to add some lips, I would just darken it a little bit and then just kind of play around with the color wheel once again, find a color that matches, because I think sometimes people can end up doing like too bright of a lip or too dark, but I think finding a good shade is really important, something like that. And for lips, I think, yeah, most of them work if they have the white tone on it instead of these ones. These ones are a lot harder to use in my opinion, because you have to really fight with color underneath. But I think if it's white here, those ones are a lot easier to color. Like as you can see, whatever lip I'm using out of the white ones, it kind of still works with the face. Maybe I'll make it a little bit more. I think I'm gonna make the lips a little bit more purple and a little bit more darker. And yeah, this is how I would style this face. As you can sort of see, I've made sure to bring in the colors that I've used on the face onto the items as well. And then I think a good tip that I would have for coloring your items is either use white or black, just to bring in more of that contrast as well. And I think it adds a lot of dimension. But I think that's important. A lot of different shades of the color. That's where it looks a little bit more detailed rather than using one single color for everything. Okay, and now onto the last face. I just wanted to sort of make another one just to recap everything that I've said and just to make sure I haven't forgotten any other things that I wanted to mention, and go into contours and use this one again. And this one is going to be a blue color scheme. A lot of the faces that I do, I really do like to start off with the eyes first. I feel like it's a good starting point to just sort of see which direction you want to take the face, and if you kind of need to use real eyes with it. This one is from Stardust Softy. This one is one of my most used eyeshadows, I think, because of just how it's also white, so it's really easy to color, and this one adds a lot of depth as well. This one is from Tropical Summer, and then I just put it like that, and then maybe color it a little darker. This one's from the new summer update, and I find this one's actually really good to use as well. It's really easy to work with. And then I would add my nose. As you guys can see with my faces, I do go back and forth a lot between the different slots just to make sure that everything is looking good. This is also one of my most overused custom makeup slots. This one is from the doll code Sweet Romance. This one's really pretty just because I think we don't have a lot of custom makeup options to add around this part of the face. And I think that's it for the custom makeup add-on part. And then I'll go to eyebrows, and maybe I'll use the sad eyebrows. There we go. Darken them a little bit. I found with eyebrows as well, when you color them, going in the tones around here, not always making all black, but sort of getting the color of the face and then kind of just pushing it around this area works really well. And then some lips, going back, just trying to pick out the lips with just the white shade so it's easier to work with. And these lips are from Dreamy Sparkle. Sometimes what I do is once I finish it, and if I'm not loving it, I'll go in and just to see if I want any eyes or not. I think for this one I'm going to pass on some eyes because I think it covers a lot of this detail part that I've worked on. And another tip is, if you feel like your face is looking a little boring, if you go on and add lashes and you just make them like a light color, it adds a cool effect. Something like that. But yeah, sometimes I'll go in, I'll sort of test out and delete some of the options that I've put on, just because I feel like I want to be making sure that I'm using good use of all 6 of the slots. Because if it doesn't really change a lot in the face, then I probably don't Yeah, like if you kind of see that one, even if I delete it, there's not too much of a big difference. So I would kind of go in and just change it out to something that's a little bit more obvious. I think this eyeshadow people don't really use a lot. I don't think I've seen a lot of people talk about this eyeshadow, but this eyeshadow actually is really good. I think it adds a cool touch to the face. Yeah, maybe something like that. I think with custom makeup, I think it's important to just actually go into free play and just play around like I'm sort of doing right now and testing out different options and just seeing what you like and what you don't like is really important, which is why I think tutorials are helpful, definitely. But I think it can also be helpful to just watch different tutorials on how people also make their faces and sort of learn how to make a face rather than just copying and pasting hex codes. Just because I feel like it's definitely a lot more fun to make your own faces. And then yeah, this is sort of how I would style this face. Yeah, I think the main tip actually I would honestly give to people who want to get better with ethereal outfit is just going into free play and just really just putting on anything and just playing around, testing out things as I mentioned before. I think that's it for today's video. If you guys would want a part 2, because as you can see I have a lot of other faces that I've done, I can always do a part 2 and share some more different tips that I've got. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.